All right. What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another Tottenham hour for you guys on the backdrop of what has been a brilliant week for Tottenham after Arsenal's capitulation on Monday night. It leaves Tottenham 1 point away from Champions League football for next season and a big load of cash for Antonio Conte to spend during the summer. To help me talk through what a great week it's been for Tottenham. First of all, David Harris, as usual on the Tottenham Hour. He's back with us and making their debuts today. We've got Bob Spur TV below me. How are we doing, Bob?
Come on, easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And we're getting Butler getting battered everywhere he goes. Sean Butler, how are we doing, Sean? Lovely to see you, mate.
Dim battered, not battered today, but generally once 5 o'clock rolls around, you never know what's going to happen. I'm good, thanks, Tim. Thanks,
yeah, all bets are off, Sean. All bets are off. Look, we'll start with David, seeing as he's a regular. David, look, it's been a brilliant week for Spurs. We got over the line on Sunday against Burnley, and then what happened on Monday night was what we'd all been hoping for. And now Champions League football is very much in our hands. Talk me through the week for you, David. Oh, I think you're muted.
Yes. Come on, mate. Come on, mate.
There you go.
No, I was going to say, look, first of all, it's great to start off the panel with 4 believers who believed all season long we get top 4. I mean, this is written in the stars. This is, but look, for me, I mean, it's been a crazy week. Look, I was so arrogant going into North London Derby. I just knew we were going to batter them. I knew it was going to be easier than what most people thought. The home team always wins the North London Derby. Only the away team have won it once in the last 19 games. So, I mean, I was right. You know, I'm just delighted we absolutely gave them a battering. But what unfolded, not only did the crowd give the Arsenal team a battering, but Conte gave them a battering in the post-match press conference as well and laid the foundations for what happened then. On Monday night for Arsenal. But against Burnley, look, wasn't the best performance whatsoever. We played 62 hours after North London Derby, and it was just about getting the job done. And to be honest with you, everyone else out there can cry about these penalties we've gotten. You go back to the goal that Harry Kane scored against Southampton, disallowed, but would have been given now, you know, completely onside. So, you know, we got the luck we deserved, in my opinion, and got the job done against Burnley, which is all that mattered. And then, look, Arsenal, you know, Monday night, Conte basically made Arteta look like a schoolboy in the press conference after North London Derby. Arteta was going in there, and what he done by doing that is make Arteta rethink his tactics, rethink his game plan, you know, and basically puts him off what he normally would have done going into the game. And you could see it against Newcastle. I mean, they look like relegation candidates to me against Newcastle. So, I mean, it's been a great week. It couldn't get any better, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree. Bob, talk me through what the week's been like for you. It's pretty much been win after win for Tottenham. Each day goes by. It's been getting better and better. Describe it for me.
Yeah, I don't think we can underestimate what the Liverpool result or performance did for us. Because I thought we were absolutely amazing in that game. And yeah, we should have won. And for me, Liverpool are the best team in the world at the moment. The Premier League says otherwise, but for me, they are. All right. So I think we took a lot of confidence from that. Like Dave, fully confident going into the North London Derby. Pete, you know, you want to say about the ref and all that. All they want is just saltness from the Gooners. Burnley, I think if we take the occasion and the importance of it out of the way, we were comfortable, man. Apart from that shot on goal, we were winning in second and third gear. So if the worst case scenario had happened and they scored, would have just gone up a couple of gears and our front three would have done the biz. But Monday night, man, I think, like what Dave says, we ruined them on Thursday. And I think you don't normally agree with Gary Neville, but you could see the effects of Thursday night on Monday night. They were ruined, man. We had their pants down and Newcastle just washed them. So, yeah, I was surprised by the lack of fight. But when you think about, you know, how they've been, and there's a lot of Arsenal fans who want to go down the narrative of, oh, you know what, fifth hasn't been a bad season. Fifth hasn't been a bad season. What a load of bull crap. I think if you 3 games to go, you're 4 points ahead, and all you got to play is the team right behind you, a mid-table team and a relegation candidate, and you're not going to get fourth out of that, mate. No chance. Going back to 8 weeks, you need 6 points ahead of us with the game in hand, a plus of 6 to 8 weeks, whatever, a +8 goal difference, and now we've more than doubled their goal difference, and we're ahead of them. If you're not telling me it's a disaster, You're lying, Gooners. Absolute lying. You, King Barber, you're all liars. Get over it.
Absolutely brilliant, Bob. Sean, look, as the two boys have said, it's been an unbelievable week for Tottenham. How pivotal week do you think this could be in if you take our season overall? Do you think this could be a real defining week in the season?
Yeah, I can't think of many other weeks that were quite as consequential. Not just in the for our Premier League hopes for this season, but I think also what it means if we get the job done on Sunday, when we get the job done on Sunday, what it means for Tottenham's next 3, 4, 5 years. You know, when you have to factor in all of the variables that other teams are trying to do, you've got the likes of Newcastle that are going to be sort of, you know, making their ways in the coming years. Getting fourth right now, what that can offer us in terms of, what we no longer can't offer, what other teams can. Going into next season, there's really no player in the world that would want to come to the Premier League that would choose Tottenham or would choose another club over Tottenham, with maybe the exception of Liverpool. If we can get the Champions League, playing under Conte, playing with the likes of with Sonny and Kane, with the stadium and the training facilities that we have, I think this last week, in terms of how consequential it is for Tottenham's present and their future, I don't think there's been a week more important than this one that's just passed.
Yeah, it's been absolutely massive for us. And I think, you know, if we do still have to get the job done on Sunday, that's for sure. We're only 1 point away now. David, I want to look, before we move on from Monday and everything, let's talk about Arsenal for a bit, because they have obviously had top four in their hands for most of the season before before Monday night. It's pretty much the first time in a while they haven't had it in their own hands. For you, is, as Bob says, you know, a lot of Arsenal fans are now saying, you know, at the beginning of the season, we wouldn't have thought fifth was achievable, and now we're getting fifth, and you know, it's not a bad season at the end of the day. For you, how much of a capitulation and a bottle job has this been from Arsenal? Or will they look back at this season thinking, you know what, we've gone from 8th to 5th, and it's a good season overall?
Oh, thanks for offering the chance to bash the Gooners. I mean, this is absolutely unbelievable. No, look,
give first, you a layup.
Yeah, exactly. We're going for the alley-oop, my man. You know, but not the slam dunk. But look, every Gooner's a runner. Every Gunner's a runner. We know that. Look, it's the greatest collapse since the Berlin Wall. Look, I've said to Arsenal fans, I was on Arsenal channels, you know, on the lead up to the North London derby, and I tried telling them, Arsenal's run this season has been disguised purely because they've had one game a week, nobody FA Cup early, and it's really helped them. And the difference between the caliber of the two managers at the clubs right now is Antonio Conte had one game a week, no Europe, at Chelsea when they won the league. Arteta can only get fifth. That's the difference between the two caliber of the managers. Let's get that straight, first of all. Second of all, Arsenal are only going to go downwards from here, in my opinion. Like Sean said, you have the likes of Newcastle and that going to catch up fairly rapidly. And I think they'd fancy their chances. If you look at the league this year, look, let's be honest, Tottenham, Arsenal, United, we all tried our best there to try to win. And Newcastle will look at that, and I believe they reckon they can probably catch up ground quicker than what they first anticipated. But look, when you look at Arsenal, they've gone from Aubameyang up front to Nketiah. Mikel Arteta had to get the parents to sign release forms to allow half the players to turn up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Thursday night. They're that young. And the reason why that happens is purely because, you know, players of caliber do not respect Arteta, and it's that simple. That's why Aubameyang's gone. And they're going down a bad route. Look, I think they're trying to emulate. This is how much they love us. I think they're trying to emulate what Poch done. Pochettino was allowed to come in, clear house, get a lot of younger players and get them to train to his way, his standards during the week so that they could be picked on the weekend. But Arteta doesn't have that pull, in my opinion. All Arteta is Pep Guardiola's con man, you know, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And then as well, for a big club, you need management styles have changed. You can't just go in and bollock the dressing room and get them to go out and put in a performance. Management has changed. And in order to take a big club, especially in the Premier League now going forward, you need a manager that just automatically commands respect. Someone that knows how to manipulate the press. Someone that has a big personality that can carry that club on their shoulders. We have it with Conte. Liverpool have it with Klopp. City have it with Guardiola. Chelsea have it with Tuchel. Arsenal have Arteta. He's not big enough to be carrying that club, and they're only going one direction after this season, and it's down. And I mean, couldn't have timed the contract any better either. I mean, it's just absolutely that was an early Christmas present for Spurs fans, because for me, I think you'll see the gulf in quality and class. I think you'll see that stretch completely next year. I think we'll finish miles ahead of them in terms of points on the board, and I think they'll regret giving Arteta that new contract. There's huge differences at this club. How can you go from having a Aubameyang to Kit Kat up front? It's absolutely ridiculous. If anyone was going to get you the goals in these games, and if anyone was going to turn up in these games, it would have been a Aubameyang, not Kit Kat.
Bob, trying to put a bit of an objective hat, not the Irish flat cap on. Have a bit of an objective hat on. In terms of Arsenal, how do you see next season going for them? If what happens, which we assume now, they're not going to get Champions League. Do you see it as a thing of, well, they're going to have the added games? They only played one game a week. Their Spurs had only appointed Conte in November. On all these things when they went their way this season, which meant they were in a top 4 race. Or do you think next season, Saka and Smith Rowe and White and Gabriel, they're all going to be a year older. Arteta's going to be another year into the job. They're going to have more experience. They're obviously, I'm sure they're not going to have Nketiah and Lacazette up front next season. They're probably going to sign a striker in the summer. So Arsenal fans might well feel they're on the up and they're going to improve and go from strength to strength. What do you think is more likely going into next season?
Well, first of all, I totally disagree with David. I believe Arteta's the way forward. Trust the process. Give him a 10-year contract. They're not going to do any better. So totally disagree with you, Dave. I think it should be there for the foreseeable future. A good 10 years. So big up Arteta. Trust the process. No, there's so much competition. I think you mentioned it, Sim, in one of your earlier videos, or it might have been Ben. You look at the pool of the clubs next season. Newcastle, money. They can throw money at any player out there. Man United are Man United. Chelsea, regardless of what we think of them, they are successful. And you've got Liverpool and City. Apart from that, there's Spurs. We've got our stadium. We've got a world-class manager. You got a chance to play with world-class players in Sonny and Kane and Romero, potentially Kulusevski. The pool's there for us. The fact if Conte is going to be backed or not is a whole different conversation and a whole different mindset, and the energy will come at a later time. I'm with David with regards to how much of a gap there will be to make up next season. They've got good players, of course they have. I personally do like Saka. I think it was in the mind friendly when he actually did clap the Spurs. I'm big up on Spurs supporters who gave him a round of applause when he came on, and he actually did clap back. So he's got. I do like him. Apart from that, they're all, whatever. Potentially they got it there as well, but they've got. We'll talk about the rebuild, which I hate the word, but Arsenal right now, when they finish in 5th next season, have got such a big rebuilding job to do, because, like I say, the likes of Newcastle, United, us, Chelsea, Liverpool, and City. We've got the bigger pool, and it will be between us fighting out the top 4. Arsenal not going to be anywhere near, man.
And let's get this straight. There's a reason why they're deciding the likes of Pepe's when they thought they were getting Pele, the likes of Ben Whites and stuff like that. Is purely because any player of any caliber that sees themselves that actually genuinely want to win trophies, they're not going to play under Mikel Arteta. They're not going to see trophies underneath him. They'll see it under Conte. They'll see it under Klopp, Guardiola. They don't see it under Arteta. So what they're going to end up doing is going into the spiral they've already been in. Overplaying players that have already been there, putting them on 300-400 grand a week to keep them at the club, to try and keep the reputation. Or they're going to get players like Tottenham have got, the likes of Ndombele and stuff, who are going to come for the money. And that's it. They're in a bad space. Until they sack that manager, that club isn't going forward. Now, that's subjective. You have to agree with that.
Oh, yeah. Still say Arteta's brilliant, though. Come on.
Well, brilliant job is doing. Sean, do you feel any other Arteta would have survived in any other club in the top 6 with the job he's done over his Arsenal career, other than Arsenal. 8th and 5th, probably 5th.
No, I think, look, I have a little bit of respect with the concept of believing in the project. I think if you look at Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp didn't start out, hitting all guns blazing. I feel like if you ask a lot of Liverpool fans, and 2 or 3 of my best friends are Liverpool fans, and they remember Jurgen Klopp, a lot of Liverpool fans wanted him gone after the first season when he was in charge, right? So you have to believe in the project. But if you want to believe in the project, and I've got absolute respect for playing that card, but you have to have a project leader that inspires faith, that inspires courage and conviction, and that on some level will be able to kind of, over time, the creases can get ironed out. And I don't think you've got that with Mikel Arteta. I feel like, to me, Mikel Arteta reminds me a little bit of the way that Nuno started at Tottenham, with a lot of the players, the senior players at Tottenham, no one wanted to play for Nuno. Harry Kane, I know Dave's going to get mad at me here, but Harry Kane didn't want to play for Nuno. And whether it was the legacy issues of the summer stuff that wasn't sorted out, Harry Kane didn't have a good start to the start of the season. Neither did 2 or 3 of the top players at Tottenham. So I feel like with Arteta, you've got a similar thing: a lack of respect, a lack of belief. I have no problem with that concept of having a project plan. You just need to have a great project manager. And for me, Arteta's not the guy. So to answer your question directly, would he have had enough time at Liverpool or Man City? Maybe Liverpool might have, if they found if they had as much faith in him as they do in Jurgen, maybe. But in reality, I feel like by now you should be able to figure out whether Arteta's the guy to drive you forward. And for anyone that's sitting here without, I don't care what happens to Arsenal, looking in from a third party perspective, I can't see the vision. So for me, I don't think he deserves any more time. But thankfully, he's just signed a 3-year contract. So
he deserves 10. It deserves 10 years. But following from that, if FA Cup win doesn't bring you any form of respect, then I don't know what will. I just personally think they're shit players with a shit mentality. And it came to the fore against Newcastle. There was nothing there, man. There was like no one had told them that you only need a draw or ideally a win to confirm top 4, and there was nothing there, absolutely nothing there, no fight. And if that was Spurs who'd played like that in a game of such importance, we would have got it in the neck. The Spurs tag would have, which I hate, would have come out left, right, and centre.
100%.
Us as fans would have demanded answers, but no, you got the Arsenal fan base sitting there going, "Oh, you know what? It's been good.
That's because they're trying to change their image, Bob. That's why they're trying to change their image. Beforehand they were giving it the big in. Trying to put Arsenal players in ahead of Tottenham players, where any other fan, of any other club across the league wouldn't have, accepted that. But I do want to say the difference between, like what Sean was mentioning there, between Liverpool and Arsenal now, with the rebuilds, is Jurgen Klopp actually done stuff at Dortmund. Yeah. He already had a bit of a name for himself. Arteta is just literally known as Guardiola's side bitch. I think that's all he's known. He has nothing to his name where players can get behind him, where players see a thing. No, Aubameyang wanted out of there quick, fast. And when you start seeing senior players like that leave, that club is only going one way, and you already know that manager doesn't have the respect. Sean mentions Harry Kane. It's true. We were at the La Real before the game, and we were asking Tony Galvin about Nuno and stuff like that, and he said that Nuno only spoke to Harry Kane once. Now, why would Harry Kane respect Nuno when he was the star man at Tottenham and we want to keep him? And he's talking to him once. Managers that come into these big clubs that don't have the respect, you will not get the best out of your star players, and that's why clubs like Tottenham now require bringing in managers of the caliber of Conte.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've got to bomb this. Do you think the real difference between Tottenham and Arsenal this season has been the managers, or do you think there's obviously we've got Kane and Son as well, but do you think without Conte there's no chance we would have finished anywhere near Arsenal this season?
100%. There's no way. Let's be realistic. There's no way we've been in this position if Nuno was still in charge. Nuno, and I've said this, and I've said it on Dave's channel a couple of times, I don't think he failed. He was an average manager, came in from a mid-table team who used to play pragmatic football. He left with 5 wins and 5 defeats, straight down the middle. And that's what he was. He should not have ever been offered the position. So he didn't fail. He was just the wrong man for the job. And I think the easiest way to compare it is, since Conte's come in, we've lost 6 league games in 27. Arsenal have lost 6 games in the last 11.
Yeah.
And
He's got a 33% loss rate, hasn't he? Arteta over his entire tenure, 1 in 3 he loses. That's not up to Arsenal standard, is it?
Answer to your question, Tim, 100%, and we all know that. We all know that. You know, where if Conte is the childminder, Arteta's still in his managerial nappies. It's you can't even compare the two. You can't compare the two.
You look at Conte as well. He's more or
But
less.
I still think Arteta's brilliant. Give him a 10-year contract. Come on.
You look at Conte though. He's more or less had to work with what he's had. Bar the 2 players that come in January. Arteta's had nearly $250 million spent on his squad alone, if not a bit more than that. You know, so there's definitely levels to this job. Look, Conte has come in and got a song out of. Look, you look at the defense he's formed. Dyer, Davies, Doherty. You know, the 3 players Spurs fans were screaming for, especially me, out the door. Don't get me wrong. I still believe we need to improve on them this summer. The work is only beginning now under Conte. But you look at the players and the way he's managed to form a cohesive unit out of some of the players. And I think that's the difference. Conte has come in and he now warrants the backing. He's worked with what he's got, or with what he's had to work with, and he's got the best out of them and got us the best possible finish we could get this season. You've got to back the guy, but there's definitely levels, and that's why we're now finishing top 4 compared to Arsenal. If we were in this race and we had Nuno in charge, Nuno wouldn't have went for Arteta the way he did, the way Conte did in the press conference. You look at what Conte done there. It's Sir Alex Ferguson like. You know, sometimes you can already defeat teams before they even come into the games with mind games in the press, and that's exactly what Conte done. He's old school.
Talking about making top 4, obviously we do have 1 point to go to get top 4 on Sunday. We play Norwich away, rock bottom of the league, Norwich City, who got relegated I think a few weeks ago already. Now they've been down for a while. They did draw their game last game away at Wolves, so you could say they're in their best form of the season for them. But we'll go to Sean on this one first. Are we getting ahead of ourselves when we start talking about we're there yet for top 4? Or do you think that with the manner of the opposition we've got to play, it has to be a foregone conclusion at this point? And the fact we only need a draw.
Yeah, if we needed a win, like, I'll be honest, I was having this conversation earlier. I actually think that, you know, if the last 2 fixtures had been reversed and it was we had to play Norwich last week and Burnley last game of the season, I'd be terrified. Like Dave, like Bob Spur, I'm sure like you as well, Sim, I've been super confident, not just throughout the season I've been confident, but going into the Liverpool game, going into the Arsenal game, I was convinced that those games would be easier for us than potentially Burnley. I'm glad we got what we got out of Burnley. Norwich, I don't think is going to be as big of a hiccup, with the simple reason that, you know, obviously Norwich are not the same sort of team, but if Norwich had something to play for and were doing the low block, Tottenham still, as much as we might be scraping through games like we did last week, we still haven't figured out a way with the squad that we have to break down teams that do the low block. Where I think that differs this weekend is I don't think Norwich are going to do that, because it's their last, not only is it their last home game of the season in front of their fans, so they would obviously want to put on a bit of a show, but it's their last game in the Premier League, you know, for at least a season. So I feel like it would be madness for them to think that they would sit back and hope for a 0-0 draw or something and just do, you know, expect us to have 80% possession. So I'd imagine that they're going to come out and play. Look, stranger things have happened. If you're a betting person, and I've looked at the odds, you know, it's 96% that Tottenham are going to qualify top 4, essentially. So there's no real money betting on it, or no value betting on it. I just think that because of the fact that, you know, Norwich are a weaker team, obviously, but also they're going to play into our hands. They are going to come out, I hope, and try and put on a show for their fans. That's going to play into our hands and allow Sonny to, to try and get his golden boot. So is it a fait accompli, Sim? No, it's definitely not. I don't want, I've already written songs on my guitar about how Arsenal choked and Tottenham have done it. So maybe I was crowing too soon, but I think that we still got work to do. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And I'm sure Conte won't allow Tottenham, the team, to do that. But I think at the end of the day, I think that Tottenham will be too strong against a Norwich team that will hopefully try and play a little bit more expansive than they otherwise would normally play.
David, they do have Timo Pukki, who has scored 11 Premier League goals this season. He's already come out and he said they want to end the season with a win, and they want to end the season strongly, and they want to give their fans something to cheer about. Is there anything for you to be concerned about going into Sunday?
No, Sim, I'm relaxed. I mean, I'm more relaxed than I've ever been. First of all, I expected to be in this position. And second of all, I mean, I don't want to act Spursy. I don't want it to rub off on the players. And I believe with Conte, he's not going to allow that to happen whatsoever. I'm not afraid going into this game. Look, there's always the off chance that Norwich can turn up. But, I mean, it's in our hands going into Norwich. All we need is a draw. If we don't get a draw at Norwich, we don't deserve to be in Champions League next season. We just don't. At the end of the day, you know, the players, they fought incredibly hard to get themselves into this position going into the last game of the season. I doubt they want to mess it up as well. The likes of Harry Kane wants Champions League football. He nearly left last season because he wants to be in the Champions League. Sonny wants Champions League football, also going for the Golden Boot. So I believe he'll be revved up, you know. So I'm not worried whatsoever. I think we have enough going forward. I think we have enough defensively as well to be able to keep Norwich out. Look, we've accumulated most points, 53 points since Conte's arrival. The only two teams that have accumulated more are City and Liverpool. We've scored 55 goals. The only teams to score more goals than us, City and Liverpool. We deserve to be where we are, and I have no doubt that we will show up against the Canaries. Look, we've got one more bird hunting trip in us. I'm ready for it. I hope everybody else is.
Just one thing before you come to Bob, Sim. The one thing I forgot to mention was the reason why I'm actually even more relaxed about it than I should be is because I don't even think that Arsenal are going to necessarily go and do anything against Everton anyway. I think Arsenal are on such a low ebb right now that I genuinely think that Arsenal and Everton could easily get a draw, in which case the whole thing's null and void, right? So,
yeah, you're absolutely right. They need to be Everton to make sure that we need the point. Obviously, if they draw with Everton, we've got top four. But we'll come to Bob. Bob, obviously a lot of confidence, and I know you've been confident of all the way through in the top four race. You know, believe it, expect it. You've banged on that drum a number of times. But could Tottenham fans could it be argued that Tottenham fans are guilty of forgetting what team they support? You know, losing 5-1 away at Newcastle when we needed to win to finish up of Arsenal. We know with Lasagna Gate back in 2006, we've had these moments before where we could take it to the last day, and all of a sudden it starts to go wrong, even though we have the advantage. So, is it for you? What would you think going to the last day, Bob?
We need to look at, first of all, get carried away. Don't stress, celebrate, because the worst case, it's not going to happen. There's not a percent of me. But if the worst case happens, you don't celebrate. I think Rez said this. If you don't celebrate and we lose and Arsenal win, are you going to feel any worse? You're not. Celebrate. Make the most of it. Revel in it. But then you look at Conte, you look at Harry Kane, you look at Sonny, you look at Romero, who's not playing, I know. But Lloris, no one's kept more clean sheets than him, apart from Edison and Alisson. We've got a great defensive record. And the biggest thing is Norwich is shit. They're crap. they're bottom for a reason. You know, in an ideal world, what I'd want, what would be funny actually, is us to draw and Arsenal to win 15-0 and just miss out by one goal. That would be great. But no, it's not going to happen. We're going there 3-4-0, 3-4 or 4-1 at minimum, and there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't allow us to get carried away. Fourth is there, man, and the sooner all the fan base, not some, but all the fan base, go into that game with the chest out, proud, and make it a celebration, because that's what it should be. We're finishing fourth. We've got Champions League football after the first 10 games of mediocre football. Celebrate it, man. If you can't celebrate this, let's do it. And we know top four isn't a trophy, and it's a bit hypocritical of me to say, you know, look where we were at the end of the season. This is because I'll put that argument against Arsenal, but look where we were at the beginning of the season. and look at where we are now.
It's remarkable, isn't it? Absolutely remarkable.
Crazy
incredible. Oh wait, before you come in, David, I just want to ask Bob quickly, going on to what Sean said. Will you have half an eye on what is going on at the Emirates, or is it irrelevant to you?
I think it's only natural. But if I expect the game to go, if we're 2-0 up within the first half an hour or so, it's irrelevant. But I will be keeping an eye on Arsenal and see how many goals Everton get past the Gooners. They're broken, man. They're broken. There's nothing there. Yeah. And I know quite a few people in the comments, and I believe, I think Sean said it. I wouldn't be surprised if Everton went there and won 2-3-0.
If they couldn't get up for the Newcastle game.
Exactly, mate. Yeah.
How are they going to get up for the Everton game?
They're broken, man. We've mentally broken them.
Go on, Dave. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I just want to add to Bob's point about Spurs fans getting carried away. I mean, you've got to enjoy it. All season long, we've listened to people tell us how shit our club is, how shit this is, how shit that is. You know, all season long, we've had to listen to rival fans saying Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Fans that have never any right to ever sing that to us, ever. We've had to listen to Tottenham in the press being ripped apart every single week this season. And now that we're having the last laugh, sit there, revel in it, enjoy it, and be fucking arrogant with it. I have stored everything up that people have said all season long, that the press has said, that other fans have been singing to us. And now's the time where I let it all out. I'm going to be arrogant with it. I encourage everybody to join Bob with it.
And David, back on that point, with all the talk, you got us not too long ago, there was that famous post-match press conference away at Burnley when we lost 1-0, and Conte was, getting frustrated with how inconsistent we were, and a lot of the media was saying how he's going to leave, and there was some, I think the TalkSport guys like, oh, he's suggesting he's going to leave straight away, and he's not even going to be in charge of the game on the weekend, and all this stuff, and all the rival fans are pretty much always getting ready for the meltdown to happen and for Conte to leave. It seems like everyone is just, all the media is waiting for Conte to leave Tottenham at some point, and it's all to fall to pieces. Do you think Tottenham getting top 4, pretty much ahead of, let's be honest, it would be ahead of schedule, seeing as that, probably we were probably just expected to get back in Europe once Conte was appointed Europa League. I don't think anyone really truly expected Champions League as much as we'd hoped for it. Do you think if we do manage to get top 4 on Sunday, that is a big middle finger up to everyone who was saying that Conte's heart isn't in this job and that he's going to leave at any point now?
Yeah, it's a big fuck you to everybody out there, to be honest with you. I mean, you look at the Premier League, we could have had a nice Europa Conference League run under Conte, but they wouldn't let us postpone the Leicester game to reschedule that Rennes game. So that's a big middle finger to them. All the fans that have been singing Tottenham get battered everywhere they go, that's a big middle finger to them. All the anti-Spurs stuff that's been on Sky Sports, BT all season long, anytime they've covered our game, everyone, look, everybody involved in English football, bar Spurs fans, hate Spurs. All they ever do is talk negative about Tottenham Hotspur. All they ever do is look for ways to bring Tottenham Hotspur down. All they ever do is look to get our best players out of here. Gary Neville with Sky Sports, the press with Conte, constantly putting it out there that he doesn't want to be here. He's upset, this, that, and the other. It's a big FU to every single one of them. And wait till you see what's coming next season. He already has Guardiola's measure. He already has the measure of Klopp. So everybody sit back and wait to see what's coming your way next season.
There's definitely...
Sorry.
No, go on, Bob. Go on, mate.
I was just going to say, never mind keeping an eye on the Arsenal result. If Leicester do a job on Chelsea tonight, I'll be keeping an eye on the Chelsea score. I'll be looking at the Chelsea score, trust me. So, it won't be a case of, are we winning to solidify 4th now, man? We'll be beating Norwich in hope to get 3rd position, and that'd be amazing,
well, we will need Chelsea to lose at home to Leicester and then lose at home to Watford.
It's happened. It's not like it's never happened before. I'm not.
We can't say Spurs against Norwich is done, but Chelsea against Watford, maybe.
Chelsea on the edge, mate. I just want to quickly say on the bit about the media, right? Simon Jordan came out this week and said, there is an agenda in the media against Spurs, and I tend to agree. However, right, and to Dave's point, if everybody is out to get Tottenham at all times, now this isn't me criticizing Conte, because I'll take the good with the bad, I'll take the bitter with the better with him. However, I would say, I've been on my channel, Dave's channel, throughout the season, during that little period when we went through that win one, lose one thing, I don't think his flip-flop, versatile, kind of volatile management of the media helps. Like, if we are a team that everyone wants to lose, if we are a team that everyone's out trying to get, then I would love to see. The only complaint I have about Conte, the only issue I have, is that I would rather him buckle in, strap in now, get what you want, whatever you want, you'll get, hopefully, and then let's be the team that is the world, to get the world versus us, right? But we need a manager then who doesn't cry when things are not going particularly well. He seems to have ironed that out ever since the Middlesbrough loss. He hasn't kind of been negative at all. But I would like to see him next season being part of the unity. Let the media hate us. Let them try and divide us, but let us stay together as a unified outfit. And that starts with a manager who doesn't, flip-flop or become volatile with his emotions when we have the inevitable bad results like every team does. It's the only thing I would say. I totally take the point. The media is out to get us, but I would like a manager who stays positive at all times if possible.
Yeah, well, sure, and I take that point, and more entitled to, you're well entitled to it. But I would say is, Conte has said recently, at points this season he's had to use the carrot, and at points this season he's had to use the stick, and he pointed to that, those moments where he's been seen to be having a quote meltdown, and he said those are the moments that he had to use a stick. And you got to say, if we do get top four, how can you argue that it hasn't worked?
No, I can't. I hold my hands up. At the time, it really annoyed me. At the time, most of you guys will have heard me say it really. I came on all your shows saying it really annoyed me, and it did. It still does. It obviously works. He's a maestro. He's a genius. I'm not going to question his methods too much. But next season, hopefully, we're only going to have a couple of those moments where we lose when we shouldn't. And I just rather him say those things behind closed doors rather than say them out in the open. That's all how I feel about it.
Fair enough. Obviously, top four this season would be a fantastic achievement considering the short amount of time Conte's been in a job. Yeah, everyone talks about process, projects and processes, and Arteta's had 2.5 years. Well, Conte's been in here 7 months, hasn't he? And he looks like on the cusp of Champions League football. Bob, how important do you think now, we're looking like we're going to get top four, going into next season, not just for the excitement going into next season and the potential transfer window, but just, for Conte and himself, for the belief in the project, and for Kane, and to have that renewed vigor that it looks like he has under Conte, for that to continue. How important for you is it going to be hearing that Champions League music back at top White Hart Lane again?
Yeah, man. As you know, I've not been to many games. I made the Vitesse game, then after that, certain things happen. I've not been back to the stadium to watch a game since, and next season that's my target. Go to a Champions League game, go to the first one preferably. Sean mentioned Arteta's lack of respect. Conte's probably gathered more respect since November within the Spurs team squad than what Arteta has done in two and a bit years. And I think that's going to rub off. That's going to rub off on not only players that are still there or will remain there, but it's not going to go unnoticed by potential incomings as well. Right, if Conte can do this job with these, he's made poor players average and average players good. We've got our world-class players, and they'll stay there. But if Conte, the way we've played, that run of 7 wins in 9, where we were battering teams, that could be the blueprint for next season. We've got all the pull in the world, man. Everything's in place. It's up to a certain individual to put his money where his mouth is, and everything's in place. But big up to Arteta. I still think he's done.
Bobby, quickly, has any player in the Tottenham squad, in your opinion, gone backwards since?
Me and Kim were discussing this. We were saying, right, who's been player of the season? I think most improved has probably been Eric Dyer. I think quite a few votes went that way. I think because the initial thing will go to Winks, but he's been shit for goodness sake.
He's been always been awful. I was thinking Reguilon.
He's probably better under Conte than he was under Nuno anyway.
Yeah. Reguilon probably.
I think Reguilon's gone backwards.
Reguilon and maybe Lucas, but he does give the odd 10 minutes, 15 minutes here and there. But yeah, I think Reguilon, because we all thought in Reguilon and
first season looked great, didn't he? Or
Yeah,
first half of
exactly.
first season looked amazing anyway.
Yeah. But I think his mind's in Spain now. His missus is still there, and I think he's got his heart set going again. And that's probably the reason why Conte has played Sessegnon ahead of Reguilon a number of times this season. So yeah, I agree with you, Sean. And me and Kim both said probably Reguilon.
Going to Sean, there was obviously, I'm reading reports today coming out from certain outlets talking about Arsenal's transfer budget, saying Arsenal were always looking to spend big this summer, and not being in Champions League isn't going to hurt their transfer budget. We did hear similar things from Tottenham previously as well, that Spurs were always planning on backing Conte regardless of being Champions League or not.
Yeah.
So from that point, do you think getting in the Champions League can sometimes be overstated in terms of its importance, or do you think that being in the Champions League going to next season, and the fact that we've gone in after 7 months of being under Conte means the pull's even greater now for us going into this summer?
Yeah, I think you just have to. It's all like there's context to everything, right? If you look at like Arsenal are desperately looking for a striker, right? A decent striker, but there's very few strikers around. That's why it was so important for us to keep Harry Kane last season, because even if you got 150 million for him, who do you replace him with? It looks like Dybala, who's like, a golden egg of an opportunity. It looks as though he doesn't want it. He wants to stay in Italy, which is fine. I don't know where Arsenal go to find the striker to replace Aubameyang, regardless of the money that they have. I don't know where they find one who's top draw, who would rather go to Arsenal than would go to, say, Chelsea, if Chelsea are trying to find a Lukaku replacement, or who'd rather go to Manchester United, who have got a project that could potentially be on the up in 2 or 3 years. And if you look at Tottenham, for example, we're going to try and buy some centre backs that look like a priority for us amongst other positions. But then you have Chelsea that are losing 2 centre backs. They've lost Rudiger. They're going to lose Christensen. He didn't even want to play in the FA Cup final, which demonstrates to me the toxic nature of their dressing room right now. But so we're going to be competing with Chelsea for whatever top centre backs are available, whether that's Pau Torres, whether it's Gvardiol, whether it's Bastoni, whatever, De Vrij. So everything comes in with context. What are the positions that Arsenal are looking for positions in, and how many players are available in those positions? And if there's only a few, and the teams that are trying to compete for those players are already able to offer Champions League, then I think it does make a huge difference. If all you need is, like a Man City, all they need is, a midfielder to replace Gerdogan or something, there's a plethora of midfielders available. So it's not such a big deal. But for Arsenal, there's very specific players they need. And every other team that's in the Champions League are trying to compete and trying to look for the same sort of players. So I think them not being able to offer Champions League is going to really damage their ability to attract the players that they need in their squad next season.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And David, having that Champions League football to offer, do Tottenham now become an extremely attractive club to join this summer? We have Conte, we have as a world-class manager, we have obviously the stadium, we will now have probably Champions League football to offer as well. Plus a good core of players in the squad in Kulusevski, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Romero. Does all of a sudden we look like a club who was in disarray? Do almost seem to be one of the most attractive clubs in Europe now to join, in a sense?
I agree. Look, I think outside Liverpool and City, I think Tottenham would be probably the third most exciting club to join. You look at Real Madrid, Barcelona, they have their money issues. You look at Chelsea, you don't know what their future holds. Bayern Munich also have their money issues. So apart from Liverpool and Chelsea, in my opinion, Spurs are now the third most exciting club to sign for. I mean, what players wouldn't want to come in? What defenders wouldn't want to come in and work beside Romero? Look how good he is. He makes their jobs so much easier. What players wouldn't want to come here and play in a team with Kane and Son? What players wouldn't want to come here and play under a manager who has won Serie A, multiple Serie A's, multiple cups in Italy as well? Getting to finals in the Europa League and stuff like that. I mean, what player doesn't want to come and play under Antonio Conte? And most players that play under him love the guy. Most players that at Tottenham Hotspur now love the guy. And for me, you look at our stadium, you look at our training complex. once we can shift off the likes of Ndombele and the Celso, this summer, what players wouldn't want to come to Tottenham Hotspur? Because players will. If I was a world class player right now and Tottenham came in, I would look at that team, especially as maybe a midfielder and more so as a defender. I would fancy my chances getting into that team. Why wouldn't I come here? I'm not coming here to play a backup. I'm coming here to play a part of something really exciting. You look at Conte. I've said this time and time again. If you want to go and win something next year, it's inevitable you're going to come up against City or Liverpool, whether it's a Carling Cup, FA Cup, or whether you want to go for a league. And Conte has the number of both of them managers, so there is that opportunity here that you can win stuff at Tottenham. Why wouldn't you want to come here? You're coming to the best league in the world. And outside Liverpool and Man City, the most exciting. I just want to say, you have all the Gunners rattled when they're in the Spurs chats, all over YouTube. They're rattled. All I'd say to them is, enjoy and play Dundalk again next year in the Europa League.
Absolutely brilliant. David, before I move on to Bob, you laid out a very good vision for the club there and the overall where we stand. But what I want to ask you is Champions League like the cherry on top of that vision, or is Champions League football central to that vision for you?
Ask the question again. I don't quite understand it.
Like you laid out brilliantly how attractive we are as a club. You actually didn't mention Champions League football when you were laying out why players would want to come join us. So I'm asking you for next season, is in that vision of that of how attractive a proposition we are in joining, is having Champions League football just like the cherry on top of that vision, like of why players want to join, or is it completely central to why players would come to Tottenham, do you think?
Look, I don't think so. I think Tottenham was attractive proposition with Conte at the helm anyway, even if we finish fifth. Look, we got Romero in the summer, best defender in Italy, playing Champions League football. We brought two players here in the January transfer window, in Bentancur and Kulusevski, without any European football whatsoever. But what the Champions League football brings to it is it brings more players that will want to come here. It opens up the pool a lot more to you. I also think it gives you a better opportunity of getting some of the elite players to the club, if that's the route you want to go. If you want to pay the money and you want to pay the fees, you now have a better opportunity of getting one or two of them players into the club where you may not have of before.
I think, Sim, the qualification, Champions League qualification, should be sold as a stepping stone of the vision. It should be sold as, this is where we are. We've got to the Champions League. This is what we're going to do. Like Dave says, It's onwards and upwards. The last thing we can do is rest on our laurels and say, right, we've done it now. We've achieved it. So for any player coming in, it shouldn't be a case of we've qualified for Champions League, come in and we'll do it again. No. It needs to be sold as the vision should be. This Champions League qualification is a stepping stone to bigger, greater things. And I 100%. Believe under this manager, if he's back correctly, it's definitely there.
Yeah, and let's go on to that, because if you cast your mind back to Sunday, and I don't know if you saw the pictures after the game in the lap of honor and post game and stuff. Conte was there. Were all the players were sitting in the middle of the pitch, and Conte was looking at the highlights of the season, and he seemed so happy. And he was having banter with Son and all the other players, and reportedly as well, he went up to every single member of the squad and met their family and introduced himself to their family and stuff. And he seems to have really ingratiated himself within the squad. Doesn't he? You get the feeling that he feels like this is his squad now, and they're his boys. You know what I mean? And this isn't just a stepping stone of a club right now, and he's going to be gone with an ear. He feels like part of it, part of the club right now. And that also, with that in mind, and considering the job he's done, getting us top four, is it a case in the summer of Tottenham have to bend to whatever he wants now? We have to bend to his will. If he wants something, it's just if he says jump, we have to say how high. Or does Daniel Levy still have if Daniel Levy still says, look, we have a certain budget, we have to work within our means. I can't promise you. He's a very demanding manager. He apparently reportedly won six signings this summer. So where should we stand this summer in terms of the level of the expectation of what we should see in the summer in terms of incomings and stuff like that?
I'd rather have a manager who's hard to please than easy to please. I'll be honest with you. just shows how demanding he is. Conte's a winner. CV states that it's a fact. What I think will happen is another discussion. What I think should happen is, like you say, whoever Conte wants, and it's the easy narrative and it's simplifying a lot of things. Whoever Conte wants, he should be able to get. Be it a 28-year-old from the Italian league or a 17-year-old Ugandan from the Kuala Lumpur league. I don't know. You know, whoever he wants, whoever he thinks will take this team forward.
I've heard about that kid. I've heard about him.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right. He's one for the future. Whoever Conte wants, because I think he's got enough credit in the bag already to turn around and say, one thing that I had an issue with, well, quite a few issues I had with Jose, he never managed to get us an identity. I don't agree with his sacking and timing. That's a different conversation. But he never brought us an identity, a way of playing, a formation in place. It was always ad hoc. It was always, let's see how it goes. What Conte's allowed us, or allowed himself to do, is go to the board. This is the way I play. This is my formation. This is my team. I need A, B, C in this position, because you can see a vision. And that's one thing that we haven't had for a while. Since the Poch days, we've never had that vision. And Conte's done that. And once we get Champions League, he has been successful. So a lot of people have been saying that, you know, we're not ready for the Champions League. And I know the Gooners are turning around saying, oh, happy with fifth. You know what Newcastle proves is we weren't ready for Champions League. Bullshit. Because you won't know if you're ready for the Champions League next season. You can't judge that now. You'll only know if you're not ready for the Champions League once you're in it. It's a shame they'll never find out.
Sean, coming to you.
Big up Arteta.
Yeah, as always. Coming to you, Sean. Obviously, last summer, we famously failed to get Conte through the door because of differences between maybe what the board wanted, what he was demanding, and what the board was willing to give him. Maybe, you know, obviously we don't know for sure, but that could well have been transfer related. Are you worried this summer those problems might still be there in terms of differences?
No, I don't think nowhere near as much, right? Obviously, you know, I'm someone that I'm not for anyone that knows me who's listening or watching, you know, I'm not someone that's a Levy in, but I am someone that defends against the Levy out argument, because I come at it from a more of a financial, you know, analysis perspective. And the one thing that I think is different, and you could take this either as a positive or a negative, right? But the economic environment right now, there's probably a recession coming. Inflation is at 10%, right? Which, without getting into the weeds with it, if you've got £750 million of debt, you're the only businessman in the country who's celebrating inflation, because your interest on that loan is at 3%. And if the monetary depreciation is at 4 times that amount, 4 times that amount, then your debt becomes significantly cheaper by every waking hour, right? So I feel like if he's got his money, if he's got his money hat on, he's looking through the numbers and he's seeing the world the way the world's going, especially if it was good news in terms of the repurchasing of season tickets, then he's going to have his consistent revenues coming in, but his debt becomes cheaper. And I think with the opportunity now, I think that there's like a cocktail of factors that are all weighing in on the scenario, all of which suggests that he should be able to loosen the purse strings more than he ever has needed to before. We've already paid off 25% of the billion that we owed. So I feel like all of those things look good. Plus, there is a massive weight of public pressure ever since the Man United game, when people started, you know, chanting for his head and stuff, and he made that you know, rash decision, which turned out to be brilliant, to get rid of Nuno and to bring in Conte. I think now he knows that there is zero excuses. There are zero excuses. Me, myself, someone who's defended the Levy out or Levy in, Levy out argument, I've said a million times, I understand the finances. There is no excuse, especially if we get top 4. So for me, he has one last chance to somewhat salvage his own reputation and turn it around. And that starts with saying whatever Conte wants, Conte gets. Within reason, but I think that Conte works within that reason as well. I don't think Conte's someone that ever wants extraordinary measures offered. He just needs certain things, certain pieces in certain puzzles. And I genuinely think that this particular summer, and I truly mean, deep down, I believe that Daniel Levy won't let us down this summer, especially if Paratici gets to have his say. And if he's hiring a number 2, which it sounds like he is, then it shows the amount of work that Paratici has to do, that he can't do it all himself, and that Daniel Levy has sanctioned him hiring a second man to help him out. That means there's going to be a lot of people leaving and a lot of people coming in, hopefully, and there's a lot of work to do in the coaching department and the youth development department, all of which Paratici has been tasked with doing. So I'm taking all of those things as variables, and seeing a Daniel Levy which is going to go, okay, I'm going to sit back as much as I can possibly bear to, and I'll loosen the purse strings because it's now or never. And I don't think Daniel Levy will screw up again, personally. And if he does, then I'll join everybody on the Levy out, bandwagon.
You say within reason, Sean. Reportedly he wants 6 new signings before our preseason tour to South Korea, and reportedly he wants 8 outgoings as well. Is that reasonable to you?
It depends when the work started. Like, you've heard about Liverpool signing that fella from Monaco. That work is not confirmed, but it's done. You've heard about Mbappe, work is done, but it's not confirmed. We haven't heard that Tottenham have signed anybody that's apart from the goalkeeper from West Brom. So you hope that the work started on February the 1st. Otherwise, what's Paratici getting paid a monthly wage for? There's no, if he's only doing his work from January the 1st till the 31st and June the 1st until September, it's weird. I would imagine that he's busy, beyond belief. And I would hope that we get a lot of those signings done early doors. And I don't think 6 in and 7 or 8 out is too much. I don't think it's too much to ask. We've got a lot of value. I was on one of the podcasts I did, one of the morning walks I did, I was factoring, I think we probably got about 180 to 200 million quid worth of value in players that none of us would want and that Conte probably doesn't want within the squad. It's not always necessarily going to be easy to get rid of them all, but you could get rid of a lot of them. There'll be some teams that will want those players. I just hope that we can act efficiently in the summer. So I do think it's possible. Yeah. I'm not sure if that answers the question. Yeah, no, it does. And what do you think, David? Do you think Conte's, if those are Conte's demands, do you think they are reasonable? And do you think there shouldn't be an issue if Levy, or do you think, Levy might find them to be unreasonable?
No, it's reasonable. Look, it's what has to be done. They've been delaying it. I mean, for a couple of years now, and under Steve Hitchen, and it's just got to the point now where at some stage you have to clear deck and rebuild. Look, Conte, I think will like being at Tottenham. I think he likes being the hated sort of figure. Everyone else against us. I think he looks at the Tottenham team. I think especially after this season, he'll look at it more or less as a blank canvas with the gift of a Hugo Lloris, a Son, and a Kane and a Romero to shape a whole team around. Look, for me, just quickly, you were asking about the budgets as well. Yeah. Look, every football club across world football works under budgets, works under transfer budgets, wage budgets, etc., etc. But that's not an excuse. What they need to do is scrape every penny together to give us the biggest budget possible, plus get players out the door at all costs, to add to that budget, to add to the wage budget and make it bigger and expand it. But look, I don't think 6 in and 8 out is unreasonable whatsoever. You look at the amount out Paratici done last summer, he can definitely get the same amount out this summer. And 6 in is what we need if we want to adhere to what Conte is here to do, which is bring in trophies. And if you want to be able to compete on all fronts next year, Champions League, Premier League, and go the distance in the cups, you need a squad. And we do not have a squad at the minute. We have a first 11, and we're praying week in, week out that the player who comes off the bench makes a difference or has a good performance. So we need to bring in 6 to add to what we've already got out there in the first 11 and create a squad that even if we do take out a player and bring one in, we're not seeing the drop in from quality that we've seen at times this season. When Romero went out injured, we brought in Sanchez. We couldn't even play out from the back. The drop off in quality was immense. When Højbjerg or Skip went out injured, the one that we bring in is Winks, which may I add, I actually do think he's gone backwards under Conte because under Nuno, under Jose, there were still Spurs fans, mainly Sim, still sitting there going, oh, maybe there's a player there, maybe there's a player there. But since Conte's come in, he's showing everybody there's not a player there. And I do think he's gone backwards. Nobody's talking about the guy anymore. But look, just to answer your question, look, at the end of the day, it has to be done. No excuses. It can't be delayed any longer. If you do delay it, you lose Conte. And if there's, for me right now, there's only one man that will take this club to join up with the likes of the super clubs in Europe, and that's Antonio Conte. He's the one that can bridge that gap, or at least put the foundations in place. When you bring in other managers in the future, that the foundation is already in place. And we're not talking about just players, but the philosophy, you know, the mentality, coming into training, doing the right thing every single day, which replicates itself on the pitch at the weekends, camaraderie, teamwork, loving each other, playing for each other. It's all them sort of things that Conte will bring in, that he will bring the base level to for years to come.
And going to you, Bob. It looks like we're going to get top 4. So for you, you could argue, you know, that's ahead of schedule getting top 4 this season. You know, probably if you first of all, definitely at the beginning of the season under Nuno, most people said top 6 was acceptable. Obviously, when Conte came in, everyone thought, okay, there's now a chance of top 4, but no one really expected it. Now we've got it. Does that change maybe our ambitions for next season in terms of, if we would have finished 5th this season, you probably say next season the target is to get top 4. But because we've top 4, because we've got top 4 this season, what if what is the ambition then for next season? Is it top 4 again? Is it going for the league? Is it top 4 in a trophy? What's progression look like this next season for you if we're getting top 4 this season?
Yeah, progression, like you say, and you're right. You know, at the beginning of the season, under Nuno, for me, 8th would have been exactly what reflected our manager's capabilities. But ambition has to change throughout not only the season, throughout the season as well as the summer as well. Well, we've got 12 days till the window opens. You know, we should be looking ahead and thinking about where we can go. And I said this on a different stream. Next season, it's all about progression, going to the next level. When we finish top 4, progression to me next season is 3rd, 2nd, or 1st, and definitely a trophy. I'd love the FA Cup, man. That's, to me, I'd rather win the FA Cup before a Premier League. That's how much the FA Cup means to me personally. I love the FA Cup. We've never not shown up in the Champions League. Whenever we've been in there, yeah, we've had the odd dodgy result, but we've always made a presence felt. That's why this whole Man City thing, we've prior to Man City getting to the semi-finals this year, we've outperformed them in the Champions League. We've never let ourselves down Champions League. So Champions League, I think, will be fine. But yeah, progression for me next season is getting better than 4th, regardless of what Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, whatever they do. We need to be looking. I don't care what they do. I don't care what they spend. I don't care who they bring in. It's all about us. It's all about my football club and a trophy next season. Because one thing that Conte will do, he'll go all out for the trophies, be it a League Cup or the FA Cup. And if we get the right players in, and like the guys have said, if we get that squad, the right squad in. I'm not sure about the 8 out, 6 in, because I think that we still do need numbers, depending on who the 8 are. For me, there are definitive people who I want out of the club. But for me, a subs bench of a Højbjerg, Dyer, a Davis, and a Bergwijn, if he stays, is a lot more stronger bench than what we've had this season. It's all depending on what kind of players we get in. The numbers got to be right, though, guys, because the amount of extra games we'll potentially have next season, I think we do need to keep an eye on the numbers as well as
100%. 100%, I agree with you. But also, with the numbers we're bringing in, we have to be very careful with the personalities we're buying in now. This is absolutely important this time round. We got burnt with the likes of Lo Celso and Ndombele and stuff like that. Now, the reason why they're gone, the likes of Ali and Ndombele, the likes of Lo Celso, I actually think Bergwijn will probably push for a move in the summer, which I do not blame.
He's gone. He's 100% he's gone.
Yeah, I do not blame the guy. But the thing is, poor attitudes at Tottenham Hotspur is not accepted anymore. And the reason why is because once you have one and Conte gives that a bit of leeway, all of a sudden everyone else starts thinking they can take the piss and they lose respect. So you cannot afford to bring in a player with a bad personality that's going to upset the apple cart, that's upset what Conte has brought together in terms of team spirit, togetherness and stuff like that. So the signings the personalities have to be correct. And it's a big risk bringing in 6 because naturally, usually one or two of them are a bit dodgy in terms of character. But at the end of the day, it has to be done. But if I trust anybody to identify the 6 players to bring in that are good characters, it's Conte and Paratici.
Yeah. Sean, what do you see as progression next season if we wrap up top 4 on Sunday?
You know what, Sim? It's a really, really good question. Bearing in mind, like you say, bearing in mind what we would have accepted, where we finished, if we finished 5th, top 4 would have been the aim. I don't know now. I think it's a season. I haven't thought about it, but it's a season. I think it's a season too soon to expect us to be able to compete with Liverpool and Manchester City over 38 games. You know, we're good enough to compete with them on individual games, and we haven't lost to them obviously all season. So, you know, take this with a pinch of salt. But I think that 3rd place is up for grabs next year. I would be, if we could finish 2nd or 1st, then that's obviously progression. Even if 2nd would be massive progression. 3rd, I think would be the realistic spot. Cement ourselves in the top 4, and yeah, I think, you know, I would like to see us. You know, people say about winning trophies. My take on winning trophies is that Tottenham should have and could have and would have won. Over the last 21 years, we've only won 1 trophy, but you know, we lost on penalties against Manchester United in, I think it was 2014, right? So that's a flip of a coin. Could have gone a different way. We've been in God knows how many semi-finals, God knows how many quarterfinals. So anything can happen. If you're good enough to get that far, you should be good enough to go one step further, and we weren't. I think that's a mindset thing rather than anything else, and I hope that under Conte we can. But for me, I'd be happy if we got to 2 finals, or at least a final and a semi-final, and also got to 3rd spot. That for me would be a wonderful season. And the Champions League, I'd like us to get to. We could get to a quarter-final stage or something like that. If we get out of the group stages and really kick on and see what happens in that world, that's also, you know, a flick of a coin. You know, those sorts of tournaments are very difficult. We've seen this year, you know, the teams like in the UEFA Cup, you know, or the Europa League. You know, who would have thought Rangers and Frankfurt would have got to the final? So I just think if we go deep in all of the cups and get to 3rd, that for me is a successful season. And then the season after that, if Conte's still around, then I want to see us challenging Liverpool and Manchester City. That for me is progression that I'd be happy with.
And I do think that there's a lot of fingers being pointed at Conte, saying, "Oh, he doesn't do it." I don't know why that impression keeps on coming out of me today, but yeah, he doesn't do well. He doesn't do well in the Champions League. The competitive nature that we all know Conte has is going to want to show something in the Champions League next season. So don't be surprised if, like Sean says, we'll try and do something magical.
Do you know the other thing I just want to quickly say about progression? What I would love to see in terms of progression, which is probably a little bit outside of the normal realms, if we could convince Conte to stay at one club for a 3rd season. I've said this before on Dave's show. I think I might have said it on Bobby's show. I feel like he's dated a lot of clubs. You know, he's had a lot of girlfriends, a lot of good-looking girlfriends during his 20s and 30s, right? But now he's ready to settle down and marry someone. And I think if we could convince him to fall in love with Tottenham and settle in for 3 or 4 years, that would be progress as well. Because I feel like if you had a project that was led by a guy as good as him, if there was a way that we could convince that guy. Because until now, you know, the best you can hope for is that he might go, you know, next season and then he's out anyway. That's what he always does. If we could convince him to settle in and stay for an extra 3 years or something, that would be progress as well from a kind of corporate level. So yeah, that'd be something else I'd look to see.
And you, David, do you agree with the lads?
I agree. I think our best hope next season is maybe a run in Europe and one of the domestic cups. But I would like to see us, be up there around 28, 30 games. So ultimately, I think we will end up tailing off. You look at Liverpool and City; they're absolutely relentless. I think 1 point or a couple of points have separated them over the last couple of years. It's insane to think that we can make up that sort of ground that quickly. But I do want to see us get somewhere near it, just so, following on the next season, it gives us more progression to push on. And I also agree, tying Conte down would be progression as well. Look, it's exciting times to be a Spurs fan. And let's all roll on, Sunday and next season. I mean, it's exciting times. I'm starting to get Poch vibes back. I'm starting to believe we can win things. I'm starting to, trust Tottenham a lot more. Every day I wake up now puts a smile on my face rather than a frown. You know what I mean? I'm praying for good times as a fan.
I think with better players as well,
back.
Dave. I think with better players, Dave, progression also, better players means better football.
Yeah,
some of the
100%.
football this season has been a bit, but we've managed to get some of the results. But better players would hopefully equate to better football, and I'd love to see better football at Spurs.
Yeah,
I completely agree. And obviously, we're running out of time. So before I let you guys go, David, prediction for Sunday?
I'm going to go Tottenham 3-0. I think somewhere.
3-0.
And Harry Kane with 1.
Son getting the golden boot?
Son to get the golden boot. Just quickly as well, there's people asking out there, maybe at the end you can tell them what to type in on Spotify and stuff like that. They're asking, is it up anywhere
Yeah,
else?
the Tottenham Hour podcast. If you just type that in on Spotify, it should show up, the Tottenham Hour podcast. So go and check that out. Bob, prediction for Sunday?
4-1 Spurs, believe it or not.
Shocker.
2 for Sonny, 1 for Kane, and there's a person who's very who comes into our chats quite often, a person by the name of Moondog. I hope Dyer gets a goal.
Yeah.
I hope
big up Moondog. Yeah.
He's invested more money into Dyer than his parents.
Yeah. All season he's been going for Dyer to score. I just hope Dyer gets one for Moondog especially.
Well, let's all hope. Sean, what's your prediction for Sunday?
2-0. I think it will be a frustrating first 30 minutes, but I think we'll get 2-0 in the end, and I think it will be Harry Kane and Sonny. And I think Sonny won't get golden boot outright, but I think he'll get a share of the spoils.
You think he'll share it? All right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me on the Tottenham Hour for another brilliant podcast. Let the boys know, let everyone know where they can find you. We'll start with Bob. Where can people find you?
Yeah, Bob Spur TV on YouTube. Saturday nights, 10:45. I normally do my show in the wall. Don't know what I'm doing for the summer, but yeah, Bob Spur TV, and going onwards and upwards. Big up Arteta, big up the NHS.
Absolutely brilliant. Sean?
You guys can find me at Spurs Talk Show on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. All one word. Otherwise, you might find a basketball team in text. So Spurs Talk Show. You can find me. Yeah, I do panel shows, and I take my dog for walks and get Tottenham stuff off my chest and play music about Tottenham songs now. Apparently, so Spurs Talk Show is where you can find me. Cheers, Tim. I appreciate you having me on.
And he gets battered as well. And he gets battered.
I get battered every single time.
Absolutely brilliant. And David, everyone knows where to find you, but plug yourself as always.
Yeah, look, there's always one person out there, the one person that doesn't know where I am. Find me over at the Irish Hotspur. But more importantly, guys, I've really enjoyed this week. I think it's been one of our best podcasts this season. Guys, get on the Spurs Talk Show, Bob Spur TV, and smash that subscribe button. They really deserve it. Brought great conversation to the podcast. And everybody, big up Sim as well for hosting. It's not easy.
Big up, boys.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much. Look, you've been brilliant guests on the podcast. I've absolutely loved reviewing Arsenal's defeat and Tottenham's. We're one step away from top 4. Let's hope we get it. Look, thank you everyone for sending in all your comments and interacting with the show. Thank you everyone. Really appreciate all you guys out there. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Bye.